Alright guys, today is hopefully the final part of the my budget 6x6 build series. I've got it basically finished, got my cardboard body, and we're going to take it on the trail and see how it performs. And afterwards, stay tuned because I will give you a rundown of all the things I had to do to get this car to be halfway decent. And then you can decide if it's the right thing for you or not. Now it's worth noting, of course, that I took the springs off. So I'm running just shocks with 40 weight oil and no springs. Also right now I have the throttle trimmed down to 50% because this thing, this thing is super fast. So first, let me show you the lowest modulation. That's the lowest modulation I'm getting, lowest speed and high speed. That high speed is 50% though. Keep in mind, the reason this is so bouncy is because the shocks, having no springs, are sitting completely bottomed out. So I get a lot of flex going over things, but I need to get some soft springs. Because the springs that came with this were just ridiculously hard, like bricks. I think this car would be a good candidate for a Hobbywing Fusion 1200. That would probably slow it down quite a bit. It's the same thing I've got in my Atlas right now. Here in a minute we'll do some good climbing. This is easy stuff right now. Okay, this will be our first moderate challenge for this thing. Let's see how we do. See how that middle axle is kind of jumping. The driveline, someone mentioned on the previous video, how's the driveline? It's not smooth, that's for sure. Very jittery. Try to get over here in this corner. These are not very soft tires. These are the factory, these are the RTR tires to the FMS Atlas. I don't think this is going to make it, actually. I'm surprised. I thought it would just eat this line for lunch. Okay, that one didn't work out. Let's go to the next line. Okay, here's our next spot we're going to try. This is another one of my favorite spots. This hill, obviously, it's always never looks so steep on camera, but this is decent. Let's try it out. I'm not using a tripod today, so it might be a little shaky. Get a little lower here. I think getting springs on these is going to help a lot. I mean, right now I've got suspension, but no springs means I get flex. I'm not the travel, but I don't get any compression. So it may look bad, but I'm going to have to give it a little bit of a pass because there's no springs. Hopefully soon I'll get some springs. Yeah, turn it around. Let's do the same thing, but let's descend now. That's going to be a big drop. I unfortunately just stepped into this, so I'll try not to drive over that. And there it goes. It's not that hard. Okay, let's look at the suspension on this. So, like I said, no springs, so this, we're bottomed out. That's how much travel we got. So if I were to do the whole flex thing, I get about that much flex before it lifts some wheels. If I lift up here, I do have some good travel. I just don't have springs. So, hopefully soon we can get some springs. How about a drop test with one hand? I honestly think some soft springs and maybe even skip the wheels and just go for maybe some soft crawler tires. Like maybe I'd like to have some megalithics on this thing, but 6 wheels. So that's tires and rims times 6. We start getting into a lot of money, so that's gonna have to wait a little bit. That's my next thing I want to try. Full speed. Okay, I just trimmed this thing up to full 100% throttle trim. So this is how fast the gearing is in this thing. A little on the fast side. My plan for the body in this guy is using the Ahead RC Mammoth cab, which I tried to recreate with cardboard, and the Expedition trailer. I've already bought the 3D files for it. I'm still looking for somebody to 3D print them for me. So in the meantime, cardboard. Let's see what's down here. Let's descend a little bit here. I have it on 100% throttle, so it's going to be very touchy. You see a lot of stop and go. It's because I can barely tapping the throttle now. That's why I had it in the 50. My masterful work here on the cardboard. You know, not my best work, but in a pinch, it didn't cost me any money. Okay, let's go down here without falling. Let's see if we nosedive, or if we, whoa. Let's, before we do that, let's put this back to where I had it. I'll call it the sweet spot with this motor and gear combo. There we go, 50%. Turn this around. Let's see if we can get up this thing. We came down just fine. Let's try to climb it. It is a little wet. And these hard RTR tires probably aren't going to grate in the water and wet surfaces, but let's see how we do here. Come on. You can climb the curb in front of my house easy. You can do this. Or maybe not. It's probably too wet. I need some gummier tires for this. So here's the jitteriness I was talking about. It's kind of inconsistent, especially on this axle. Okay, I'll give up. There we go. Let's see if we can make this. My money says no. Here we go. There's some roots for us to grab onto, so maybe grab onto it. A bite. Oh, you bit. Try going up this side. close. You're so close. You can do it. Don't make me push you, because that will be cheating. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Get some speed. Oh, so close. You can do it. Push, push, push. Reminds me of being a kid and pushing the family car. Hey, I did it. I know what you're probably thinking. This is abysmal. And I'd be inclined to agree. This is not crawling worth anything right now. But wait till I get some shock springs in this. And maybe some better tires. I could take my Predators off my Atlas and try that out. Excuse me, I'm trying to catch my breath. I think the lack of suspension compression is really hurting us here. But I don't want to call it just yet, but I want you guys to see it for what it is. So if anyone's thinking about it, they can decide off this video. Do you want to buy this? Do you want to put in the work that's required to get it working right? If not, then this might not be for you. First time I test this thing at home, in front of the house on the porch, we have a firewood pile, which was the last video. I believe it was the last one. I was impressed because it climbed so incredibly good. But honestly, I think that was because of a great matchup between the hard bark of the firewood against the not so soft, semi-hard RTR tires in the Atlas. I think those Hyrax imitation knobs are just biting onto the firewood, giving me a little too much excitement, undue excitement. This test is also going to tell me whether or not any more of the screws are going to back out. Because as I mentioned in the previous video, my first test run going up and down the curb at my house, I lost 2 of the screws from the middle axle mount that mounted to the chassis. So I had to go buy screws. I Loctited them all in since then, and so far everything's tight. But we'll see when I get into the trail. We'll check all the screws together and we'll see what we got. Okay, now that our trail runs over, let's go over this thing. Get this body off here. My quick release flatbed. Very technical construction here. So, let me go over all the things I need to do. First off, if this is for you or not, it depends on what you want out of it and how much work you want to put into it. If you're looking for something that's going to perform out of the box, this is not for you. You're not going to be able to just throw wheels and electronics in it, Kevin Talbot style. Boom! It's not going to work. You're going to have to make a lot of tweaks. If you like taking something and tweaking it until it is dialed in, yeah, this might be for you. So, let me go over the things I had to do to get this to work as well as it does now, which I know isn't that well. But first thing I noticed was when you take the red cover off this gearbox, the slipper clutch. The slipper clutch on it, if you pretty much drive up against like a stick, and that's an exaggeration, but if you go up against any resistance, that slipper clutch starts engaging and you're not going anywhere. I had to tighten that slipper clutch so much to where it was almost bending the spring in on itself. So the slipper clutch, you're going to have to tighten that or take it off if you feel comfortable with it to get it to actually have any power to work with. Second thing, I'm trying to remember here. Oh, another thing I had to take care of was the shock springs. The shock springs this came with were like bricks. I did a drop test off camera and it was like dropping a brick. Even dropping it on all 6 wheels, there was almost no compression on the springs. I don't know why they shipped with such hard springs, so I took them off, put 40 weight oil in all of them. I mean, these aren't fully, well, this one's not fully compressed, but almost. So as you can see on the trail, it's really bumpy. It feels like you're driving in, you know, your grandpa's truck that has shot suspension. But yeah, I'm gonna get some shocks for this, some springs for this thing, some soft or super soft, not sure which yet. Probably soft or maybe medium, and see how that goes. Next up was if I can show it right here. This little, where these screw in, this is the mount that holds the middle axle on. Well, part of it. Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's what holds the rear axle on. That rear axle held on by this mount. Well, I drove this for maybe 10 minutes in front of my house, just hopping the curb slowly, just climbing the curb, dropping off the curb to see how it did. On this side, both these screws, they fell out, and I didn't realize it until I was running over my axle, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I realized, well, crap, none of these are Loctited. For the factory, they don't have thread seal. I mean, surprise, AliExpress. But once I went to the hardware store, got the right size screws, I put some blue Loctite on all of them, put them in. This whole trail run, they didn't back out. And looking around, I don't see or feel any screws. That one looks loose, but it's not. That's just what the screw is like. Nothing, there's no play in any of these screws now. So I think the screw situation is taken care of. What else do we have that was a problem? I'm trying to remember here. Battery tray I like the way the battery tray is set up. That actually is pretty cool. Okay, I had to stop and consult my notes and to remember what else was a problem. The other two problems was naturally it's too fast, which you saw that, and the spur was wobbly. I don't have the tools with me to take the cover off, but sitting it upside down or holding it up and holding a throttle, the spur was just kind of like woo, 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 which I think contributes to the whole wobbly or inconsistent driving. Let's see, slowest speed. Let's see here. See, it kind of surges a little bit. Front seems to do a little better, but no, all of them. That's the person who asked my last video, is the driveline smooth? Here's your answer. That is how the driveline responds. When you're driving in motion, it's not that noticeable, but good Lord. At slow speeds, it's just like, what the heck is going on with this thing? So that's the driveline for you. That's the other problem. I can see that middle axle kind of jumping. So at speed, it's not so much of a problem. As I slow down though, I don't know what is causing that. I don't know if it's a spur. Maybe that's not a spur. If that was a spur, it would be a little more consistently inconsistent, if that makes sense. That's just jumpy. I don't know if it's something to do with the gearing and the axles or what, but that's what you have to work with if you get this thing. I'm not going to say you should or shouldn't get this, but think about what you want. If you want something that you can continually work on and improve, and if you like polishing turds, then absolutely. I mean, some people like projects and like taking something that's not super great and turning it into, a legend. If that's what you want to do, then by all means get this. Like I said, if you want something that you're going to get out of the box, slap some wheels on it, and throw electronics at it, and you're just going to be able to like win comps or something, then yeah, this is definitely not for you. I do think it can be made good, and I'm going to keep working at it. I'll provide updates as I improve it. I think the shock springs, and some better tires will go a long way. The only reason I chose these tires is because, to be completely honest, I'm not getting that YouTube money yet. So it's hard enough buying 4 steel bead locks and Predator or green compound tires for 4x4. You multiply that by 6. Let's say you're buying a set of 2 tires is like, what, $30, $40 bucks, times that by 6, and then times whatever wheels you're buying by 6, you're getting into some serious money for an AliExpress car. So I didn't want to throw money at it too much until I actually tested it. So it could be that the tires was what was hurting. These tires aren't terrible. I already had 4 of these Atlas 4x4, these FMS tires, these Raider runs. I already had 4 of these that I took off my Atlas. So all I really needed to do was spend $15 to get 2 more to have 6. That was my cheapest way in. So I bought that ticket, thought, you know what, this will help me test it. Later I can get some more. So keep your eyes open on the channel. I'll be adding another video as soon as I have springs. I'll start with just springs, do another video when I, can afford it. I'll get some tires and rims, and hopefully together we can watch this thing ascend to greatness, at least halfway. Thanks for watching.